Right, so if all's well, you should get a picture in the bottom left-hand corner or somewhere on the screen. I haven't quite done it yet, but I will do when by the time you watch this. Showing you the first picture. Picture number 1. This is Chippingham Street. Or it's at the side of Chippingham Street. Where I'm stood at the moment taking the picture is obviously where the tram line is. Now the tram lines used to run exactly where the houses were. So basically they flattened them to build a super tram. Which is quite interesting because when I go past in the tram, I get to look out the window and go over exactly where our house used to be and see the same size. So it's quite ironic, really. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this exactly as I wrote it, which was, you know, just on pages really per picture, and some of them are just a quick, brief description of the actual photo itself, whereas some of them are, you know, they kind of go off into stories that I remember. So anyway, it goes. So, like I said, this is Chippingham Street. It's taken just above the canal bridge. If you look halfway down the picture, you can see a road kind of going across where the tram is, and to the right of that, where the kind of roadwork signs are, that's where the canal bridge is. So obviously where I'm stood is actually where the actual tram station is, where you get your board on and off the tram. But before all this was built, like I said, the houses ran down the whole length of the track. These were old houses set into like your yards of 4, so you'd get 4 houses, and then there'd be a yard running up the middle, which would take you in, you got like a house on the left, house on the right, and then obviously a further one. So that was the only way in. There was no back way in, because with these, all you got was the canal wall and the canal across. So there was kind of like one way in, one entrance in, which was a bit scary as I remember as a kid, because at night it used to be like a really dark entrance to walk through. But I'll get to that later. On the left-hand corner of the street, if you look, you've kind of got like where the street is some grey sort of boxes with all the the electrics for the tram and that. On the corner there, there used to be a corner shop that I remember. It's kind of where the road crosses the picture. This was called Henry's Corner Shop, and it was one of them real classic corner shops that sold just about everything you wanted as a kid as you walked in. As I wrote here, as you entered from the street corner, a step took you into, like, it was weird because it was a corner shop. It took you into a room, but you kind of went in narrow, and then the room sort of panned outwards as you walked in and got bigger and bigger, before it got to a stop. And this was a really classic corner shop. When you got halfway there, a step to a different level separated, to like where all your household stuff was, like your Brillo pads, your shoe polish, all the old stuff and clothes pegs. You don't see anymore, as you do. But I always remember on the right hand side as you walked in, it was like a massive glass case. I mean, I was only small, so I had to look up, to actually see inside it. But on the right hand side there was like a glass cage, and this glass cage was absolutely excellent. It just contained every sweet you could think of. There was like little dishes in there containing loose sweets. You had your things that didn't come in packets, like the old flying saucers, lollies, drumsticks, etc. All that sort of stuff. And it was just great because you could smell it as you walked in as a kid. All that different mixes of sweet and sugar. And it's one thing I can remember. I can still kind of remember the smell today. It was amazing. I always remember I used to have to go in. I used to stand on my tiptoes, have my hands and my face pressed against it as I was looking in to see what I wanted. I could never decide. There was just so much choice. I also remember the shopkeeper always had a white coat on. So it was a white coat, like when you go like last in summer wine, and you go in the cafe and you got that guy that's got that big white, kind of clean coat on with his hands in his pockets. And it always seemed to me he was always in a rush to get you to buy what you wanted. It was always a case with kids: get them in, get the money, get the sweets, stuff them in a bag, give them and get them out of the shop. Don't know why. It beats me. Probably I took too long staring in the window. I can't remember really. Yeah, like I said, he'll always be stood asking you what you wanted, and it was amazing. It was just one of them things where I don't know. You don't see sweet shops. Most of them they're not even kept in jars anymore. But they just had everything in there. But it was always in this cabinet. It was fantastic. I wish it was still there because I'd just walk in and just imagine what it was like. Anyway, moving on. When you come out of the shop, a little bit further up on the right hand side, was a chip shop called Holland's Chippy. Now I always remember it was kind of set back. It had like a little bit of a pavement bit, and the pavement was always cracked outside. Like concrete paving slabs, that kind of wobbled when you walked on them as you got to the door. And I remember, always remember the houses, because it was like all the houses next to it. They all had like a really tiny bit of garden. It was as if they just built them a bit of wall, which only jetted out about 2 foot. It's as if it was some sort of courtesy my private land. And it was always black, like because of the steelworks and that. We used to chip away at it with this change, just to see what colour was underneath, because it was always like sandstone. But obviously it was always dark, because you know the steelworks had just blackened it over the years. And there was always like little holes on top as well, like little concrete holes. And I found out later on, because on some of them further up, they're like little bits of railings, but they used to have like, I think they were about 6 to 8 inch high railings with spikes on top, which you wouldn't get away with now. But most of them, they weren't there anymore. And I found out like later on that they'd been removed in the war, because obviously they were collecting as much steel as they wanted. So they chopped them all off and took them all to be melted down, I suppose. Well, I suppose if they had them now, they wouldn't be accepted anyway, because it's health and safety and all that rubbish and crap and boring stuff, as you do. Anyway, I always remember going in the chip shop. It was always one of them Saturday afternoon, Saturday morning things. You know, Mum would leave some money on the mantelpiece, and it'd be like, you know, taking in turns to go and get the fish and chips. I mean, my brother always used to argue. It was always used to be somebody else's turn on a Saturday to go and get them. So always ended up being me, I think, most of the time, because I used to end up giving in. Otherwise, they wouldn't not getting up to eat. Anyway, when you walked in the chippy, as I've written, the walls were made of like, you know, like all tiled, or like a black and white kind of square tile. And I always used to try and make shapes out of them, you know, because I don't think there was any random shapes. I think they kind of went down in steps. And I always remember, like, when you walked in there, it didn't matter whether it was winter or mainly summer, as I can remember it was always warm. We always used to slide along the wall as a kid. It was one of them things where it didn't matter what you were wearing, you always used to ruin your best coat, because it was all condensation. Slide along the wall and slide along the glass as you were waiting to get served. It was always so hot as well, so hot in there. It's forever, you know, it seemed like I was forever waiting for chips. When I went up on a Saturday, it was always busy. I think you ended up most times queuing outside for like 5-10 minutes. And when you got to the front, you always kind of like feel the sweltering heat, you know, from the fryer. And it was just amazing. It was just one of them things, you know. I remember like Sheffield fish and chips, you know, like a fish cake they called it, which was it was like 2 pieces of potato, and you had fish kind of inside it, and then around it you had the batter, you know, and it's just like a delicacy. If you ever get to Sheffield, try one. They're brilliant. Anyway, that's what I've written for picture 1. Obviously, I think there's about 30 or so pictures in the series, which I'll go through. So that's it for that video. Like I said, it's exactly how I remember it. I'm not rehearsing this, I'm just saying it as I see. So if you're interested, got any comments, and please post them to me, and I'll carry on reading more. So thank you, and I'll see you on the next time. Hello, my name's Andy. Do you know, I had this idea that it started about 1992-93, and I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll write a book, because I was born in Sheffield, born in ATTERCLIFFE in Sheffield, and I thought, because I live in Torquay in South Devon now, so it's miles and miles away, and I thought, I went home and I thought, you know, I really miss it here, really miss it. And I thought, I went to where I used to live, and everything had been knocked down, and where a house used to be where the canal was, it was like a super tram runs over it now, right through Sheffield to Don Valley. And I thought, do you know, it'd be quite nice for me to record as a kid everything I did. And I did a load of stuff, you know, as a kid, and messing in old houses, scrap yards, knocking on people's doors, you know what I mean? Stuff that you don't do today. So what I did, I thought, I know, I'll write a book. But I wasn't quite sure how to do it, and I had this idea when I went home. I'd take a series of pictures. So what I did is I took a series of photographs of all around the area of where I used to live. And then I thought, I took the photographs, and I went home, and I thought, how am I going to do this? You know, I've just took a load of photographs, and I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll look at each photograph, and then I'll write maybe a paragraph, or, you know, exactly explaining what it is and where it is, and then just general, really, you know, what I remember about the area, what used to be there, like there used to be a shop there, a pub there. And then I'll write something that I remember about it. So some of these photographs just tell you exactly what it is and where it is and what used to be there. And then some of them just go off into, like, I remember what we used to do there and that, you know. So it's a bit of a mismatch of, I suppose, of what I'm going to do. But if I bring each picture up on the screen and then I'll just explain about the picture and just share part of my life story with you. I did this in, like I said, 1993. I never made a book about it. I always wanted to, but I thought I'd do it as a YouTube. I've been looking at a lot of others like geriatric and stuff like that, and what people have done really, and I thought I could do that, you know. So here goes anyway. What I'll do is, there it is. That's what I wrote. It says dropping it. It's called Outside Bogs and Sink Baths, because obviously we had an outside toilet and we used to get bathed in the sink, and it's called A Cliffe Kid by Andrew Moffat. So what I'll do is I'll load the first photograph up and we'll see how it goes.